my name's Richard.
And I am Brad Talton.
And this is We're Not Wizards. This is a repeat offenders edition, which means what happens is we get our previous guest that's been on the show and we invite them back on. Because either I've asked them constantly for about 3 months via email, or I've bribed them with something. And in this case,
in our case, I believe it's the first
one.
We went back and forth, and just due to time zone differences, I think missed our previous appointment.
Yeah.
So it's good that I'm finally here with you again.
I'm looking forward. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to catching up because we last spoke in January, and you have been very, very busy indeed. For people who aren't aware who Brad is, he basically is one of the main players, owners, runners of Level 99 Games. And if you don't know who Level 99 Games are, just turn off the podcast.
Yeah, go visit the website.
Go visit, okay, go do that.
It's all
do
there.
That. Pixel Tactics.
Yeah, Pixel Tactics,
yes.
BattleCon,
yes.
Argent The Consortium,
yes.
Millennium Blades.
Yes.
We've got a few games that you may have heard of.
Just a couple.
I hope so, anyway.
Just a couple. But how are you doing, though? Because it has been like 6 months, so how has things been on your side of the pond?
I've been doing very well. I've been working on projects. We've done a lot of work here in the office. We shipped out Millennium Blades, the second edition. We've printed a third edition. We have, we ran a, actually I think our main thing, we ran a Kickstarter for Exceed Season 2.
Yeah.
That'll be coming out later on this year. Exceed being our fighting card game. And then we're about to ship BattleCon Trials, our first fighting card game. That is going to happen at the end of this month in August. So quite a bit going on, but for me personally, just doing a lot of traveling, went up to Colorado, did some hiking, went over to Taos, did some hiking, went over to Durango, saw the cliff dwellings and the pueblos there. It's there's a lot of cool national parks in this part of America. So we get to travel around a lot and see a lot of nature, and I really enjoy that.
Do you do that on a regular basis? Are you at the point where you can take regular breaks then? You can.
Yeah. We try and get out for just a weekend getaway every month or two.
Good. Well, you need the break as well because you can't be work all the time, especially if you're putting out so many games that you are. Otherwise,
there are a lot of kinds of work too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I take a break and I do a getaway and I work on the stuff that I can't work on in the office because I'm too preoccupied with logistics and marketing and stuff, and I really want to do creative work. So I take an artist retreat and I go do my creative work, and that's always a lot of fun too.
So, in these breaks, have these inspired you for kind of other kind of games that are going to be coming up? Have you had a couple of inspirational sunsets that have made you think, "Oh, I could do that"?
I'd say so. Yeah, I've got some good ideas for games coming up. Seventh Cross, my adventure board game, is kind of all-consuming right now, and it's the only game that I'm actively working on. But we're at version 25. I feel like we're very close to the final product for that game.
So, for people that haven't heard of Seventh Cross, it's Castlevania-ish, isn't it? I think anyone that looks at it would go, "Ooh, Castlevania," but it's kind of going to be. But what's the game kind of going to be like? Is it the card game or?
It is a fully cooperative adventure board game with miniatures. It's story driven, so it's kind of like, let's say you were playing like a game like Descent or like like the Castle Ravenloft, the D&D games, those sort of things.
Your dungeon sagas of this world and things like that. Anything that involves a campaign. All right, okay.
But the scale is a little bit bigger, so your characters, run from room to room. You only have to deal with like the big boss in each wing of the castle. So you're in this area of the castle. There is a giant boss there. You go over and you defeat them, and then you can explore the area of the castle that you're in. Every few turns of the game, you encounter paragraph adventures. So this is kind of a paragraph adventure / miniature combat hybrid game.
Okay.
If you will. So for those who don't know paragraph adventure, games like Arabian Nights or Arkham Horror or Arkham Horror is a very minor one. Like Mice and Mystics has a little bit of it. Dead of Winter has a little bit of it. But really, these are games where you break the action and you go to the book and you read like effectively a cutscene.
Yeah.
And in every cutscene in Seventh Cross, there's some kind of choice you can make. You can choose to go the light path or the dark path, or to help people, or to take their stuff for yourself so that you have advantages against the bosses coming up. Different choices that you can make, and the choices that you make as a player will help to determine the way that the team acts as a whole, and what ending that you get in the castle.
Yeah.
But also, they help to determine what your abilities are. So if you make good choices, or it's like there's sort of a voting aspect, and if you vote, thumbs up, like let's go the light path, then your character gets more light abilities. If you vote like no, let's go the dark path, your character will get more dark abilities, which are more combat focused. So there's reasons to make every kind of choice. Like maybe you want a certain ability, maybe you want to see where the story goes, maybe you have an affection for this NPC because you've seen them over multiple castles. The same characters keep returning, and they keep remembering what you did to them last time.
Oh, right, okay.
And that takes them down they have their own story paths that they're going down that you are guiding them through. So all that stuff factors into the way that you make decisions, and based on the decisions you make and how effectively you're able to tackle the bosses in the castle and complete the plot, you get some ending to the game. So it's kind of campaign focused, and that the characters that you play kind of evolve over time.
I'm getting a choose your own adventure type vibe.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Steve Jackson, Ian Livingston. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Because you mentioned Mice and Mystics, but one of the things about Mice and Mystics was while it had kind of like flavor text, and you were able, because I play Mice and Mystics on a regular basis because my kids love it. I've started my 4-year-old playing it because he loves to listen to the story. It's still a little bit of a linear adventure. So when you play it maybe the second or third time, you maybe ignore the kind of the flavor text because it doesn't really have much of an effect on the overall gameplay. You could leave it from one side. You can add in little bits, but it maybe has little additional gameplay elements that it adds in. But the main story you can kind of put to one side. But that sounds kind of interesting to me, what you're doing.
It's pretty neat, yeah. The idea being that the castles the choices that you make from game to game matter. If you treat an NPC this certain way, or if your character takes the high road or the low road, those things will be remembered by the game state, and then when you go back the next time, if your character keeps going down this dark path, they might leave the party or defect or turn evil, or you might get new allies that join you if you complete their storylines in certain ways.
So do you play as a character and then you have like a party alongside you? Or how does... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so 1 to 4 players cooperatively are working together. We're going to see about getting it up to a 5-player adventure, but currently 1 to 4 is what we're playtesting with, because it's a little easier to manage and build prototypes.
Is it difficult to get a game balance kind of right when you're going up to the 5th player? Because I've seen this quite a regular basis where on some campaigns now, on Kickstarter campaigns, where the 5th player is like an addition or a stretch goal that we'll say we might bring in at a later date. So does that give a whole set of kind of balance issues once you're above the 4?
I couldn't really say because I haven't started to tackle those challenges yet.
Ah, right, okay.
The game is built sort of so that every player takes a certain amount of time, and the castle has a certain amount of time for you to beat it. So basically a certain number of player turns. So in theory, adding more players doesn't take away anything from the castle.
Yeah.
But it's merely theory. For me, it's just that, building 4-player characters takes this amount of time. Building 5-player characters takes even more. And my playtest team is 4 strong. So my core group that meets every week to advance the campaign is only 4 strong. So I am only working on 4 of them right now.
Yeah, okay. But 25 versions, I mean, How different? I mean, is there a vast difference between the kind of version 10 up to version 25?
Different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're pretty different. And I've cataloged a couple of them on my blog. So if you go and you look on there, you can see kind of how it's evolved over time. So it started out as like a pure choose your own adventure story with like no real mechanics. It was just almost RPG level. And then we moved to having, like a bunch of equipment loadouts and stuff. And eventually it became like a gauntlet fighter where you just fought bosses and then made story choices. And then we brought back the castle, and then we decided to arrange the castle in a certain way, and then we've arranged it in a different way, and now it's arranged in a third different way. And, the games are kind of evolutionary in that sense, where every version relies on the version ahead of it. And so you really can't get to V25 until you do the other ones. But that's really more my design style, I think, because like Millennium Blades had 26, 27 different versions before we got the formula right. BattleCon was about version 20. Exceed was like version 24. So it takes me about 20 tries to get a game right, it seems.
But see, do you ever take like say version 10 and make that into a completely different game? And I mean, have you got version 17 is Seventh Cross, and you've actually said, listen, I could develop this in a different direction, and this might turn into its own game? Does creating all these versions kind of give you other ideas that you can branch off and work on new ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely, you don't want to lose anything that you build.
No.
So I keep all those versions, and a lot of the time they do give you a good idea of how to move forward in some other direction. So like Exceed was, started with a branch on BattleCon. Or like, what's an example? For Millennium Blades, we had a couple of the concepts in Millennium Blades that we've pulled over into other games, into other upcoming games. So like, these things are never lost. They're just stepping stones, and sometimes you go and pull them out of the river and use them on your next bridge. Absolutely. The things that we learned from doing all of these different boss battle versions, I expect that we'll use in an upcoming game as well. So,
you must be a Castlevania fan.
Oh, absolutely.
What's your favourite Castlevania game then?
That is kind of tough to say.
Putting you on the spot, man. You've got to answer.
Yeah, I mean, for sentimental reasons, it'd have to be 3 because that's what I. Well, actually, I'd say 2. 2 I played the most of in my youth.
Yeah.
I was a really big fan of 2. 3 I got first. But I didn't like. I like to be able to save my game, and 3 didn't offer that, and 2 did. So 2, in that sense, feels very different than 1 and 3.
I gotta say 4 on the SNES.
I just didn't get that one. Like, I got my SNES a little late, and so I didn't get to play 4, and I didn't get to play Symphony either on the PlayStation.
It's okay. Neither have I. I've heard it's good, but I've not played it.
It's supposed to be the best, apparently.
Yeah.
The Game Boy ones, the DS ones are really good. I like Dawn of Sorrow.
Dawn of Sorrow is really one of my favorites. So yeah. I really like. So that's why I'm excited about Seventh Cross, because when you said when we first talked, it was like, yeah, I'm doing this game Seventh Cross. It's kind of like it's got Castlevania vibes to it. It's like, okay, whenever you bring this out, I'll be sold. I'll be first in line.
Oh yeah.
Outside in the sleeping bag, because that is definitely my jam. Have you as an aside, have you caught the Netflix series yet?
I've started watching Castlevania on Netflix. I'm only like 3 or 4 episodes in.
What do you think?
I think a lot of things. I feel like one of my friends said that it's trying a little too hard to be an anime. And I kind of agree and disagree with that. I mean, they kind of know what they're going for. I think they might be playing it a little too hard. But Castlevania's story was always pretty light, especially Castlevania 3.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't know how. I mean, everything that happens kind of has to be added. Beyond just the names of the characters.
They have to develop a whole pile of lore from very little kind of working. There's a lot of kind of conjecture and kind of extrapolation from a couple of sentences of text in a game. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, Castlevania does have a lot of lore. Like, the chronology is huge, and all the games do connect in some way, but on an individual game-by-game basis, there's not always a lot of lore. It's like, Dracula appears, Trevor Belmont comes and kills him, he meets these 3 people on the trip, and then 100 years pass. Like, that's kind of what it is in the canon. Is kind of what that episode is.
Local blood.
But it's neat to see it fleshed out.
Yeah, well, local blood bank truck accidentally, crashes into cemetery and spills its wares everywhere, and lo and behold, Dracula appears back.
That's Lords of Shadow too.
Yeah. That didn't. I don't think that reviewed very well. I think they didn't say it was a blood. I think they said it was more like a car crash than a blood bank truck crashing.
I guess it was. I haven't gotten very far in it. I really liked Lords of Shadow 1.
Yeah.
But I haven't found the time to get deep into 2. But I played a lot of other Metroidvanias. Games in that genre. So I've just recently finished Ori. I've been playing. In our next podcast, we talk about playing Momodora.
All right. Okay.
I played Salt and Sanctuary recently. Hollow Knight. Abyssal City, there's so many games in this genre, and they all bring something new to the genre. So it's really neat to see what you can take and what you have to leave behind when you're doing a video game, board game genre adaptation.
It's like all this talk of video games. It's almost like you've been working on your own little version of a video game, Brad.
I'm working on a few video games.
How's the Pixel Tactics coming along?
Pixel Tactics Online is coming along really well. We are going to have our first public demo at Gen Con this year.
Oh, awesome.
And we'll be hosting a public demo at BattleCon as well at the same time.
Really?
Yeah, and we have videos of both of those up on YouTube. So if you are listening here and you want to see Pixel Tactics or BattleCon Online in action, you can just Google for those and see how they look. But they've been coming along quite nicely.
Are you really pleased with that? Are you really kind of excited? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really excited. Well, it's always been one of my, I'd say one of my big failures, that 2 years ago, we did a Kickstarter for BattleCon Online, and, it was our first video game. We had, a small programming team. I was doing the graphic design and all the, character balancing and programming and stuff, like the database work was all on me, and we worked at it, and it just wasn't coming together, because none of us had ever done video games before. So late last year, someone got in touch with me who was a professional developer and said, "Hey, let's do Pixel Tactics Online." And I was skeptical, but I said, "Okay, sure. You can have the contract, do Pixel Tactics Online." And he came back a week later, and he had this really polished looking game.
He'd done it.
And I was like, "Well, crap. I have other stuff I need you to do, actually."
Yeah.
And so I got him started working on BattleCon Online.
Yeah.
And that's finally coming out pretty soon. We finally got it together.
Yeah.
I got a professional graphic designer working for us now, someone who that's their whole job, and it's not just me, doing my best in Photoshop.
I know.
Trying hard in Photoshop.
Yeah.
But it's so things have really gotten to a professional level on our video game side, and I'm very excited about the video games we're going to be bringing out this year.
Cool. So is that going to be another arm to it? Can you see, looking over your back catalogue with everything that you've done in the past, are you kind of thinking, what can I transfer over to being kind of digital, and what is kind of best left where it is? I mean, is that giving you another kind of whole area to explore?
A little bit. I think that what we're probably going to do is use the adaptions as a launch point to kind of get our names into the video game space. And then once we're in the video game space, we will produce some actual video games. We will bring the characters from BattleCon, and we'll bring the characters from Millennium Blades and, from Seventh Cross into a video game space in a video game way. Such that you'll you'll recognize these worlds and you'll be able to experience these through a new lens, But if we do like, like a, our own Metroidvania game, or if we do our own kind of action adventure game, using these characters, we can bring them to life in a different way than we have just on the tabletop.
Yeah, I'd be kind of like tempted to, if you said I'm going to do a Castlevania, Metroidvania type full game, I'd probably definitely buy it.
We have some plans. We have some design documents in the works. Yeah. For what we're gonna start talking about after we finish up these two projects.
So have you now got a whole list of stuff that you've got to work on? I mean, has this invigorated you? Well, you're always invigorated. What am I talking about? I mean, I listen to you on your own, the Level Cap podcast, plug. I do listen to you. But you're always kind of invigorated and excited and full of kind of energy, so I don't know if you could get...
we record that thing at like 8 a.m., right when I wake up in the morning. And I don't always feel invigorated, but I'm glad that you think so.
That kind of comes across.
I'm glad that I managed to pull that off.
Well, listen,
Marco's a great co-host.
I've got no excuse.
We got a lot of energy. Yeah.
It's good
we
fun.
have fun.
Good fun.
I think that's the main thing, is that everybody who's, doing level 99, we have a lot of fun with what we're doing. I mean, that's really what it's all about, right? Like don't go to work if you're not going to enjoy yourself.
I think, I think I see a lot of people that look towards their hobbies in order to kind of like make their day kind of better, kind of sometimes, and I feel for them, Yeah. I'm lucky. I enjoy my job. But that, I'm one of the lucky ones.
Work is work. Work is work. I still gotta call a bunch of people and make shipments and deliveries and advertise and all this drudgery. But I really enjoy the end products. Like, I feel good about what I make.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing.
But in the moment, you're doing the second edition of Argent The Consortium. Yeah,
we're working on Argent second printing. Just a few minor updates, a couple cards, needed errata. We're going to upgrade the miniature production in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So our miniatures are a little more modern.
Yeah.
But other than that, the game is the same. This is I guess for those who haven't seen, this is sort of a Harry Potter, the board game. Like Harry Potter Goes to College, the board game.
Okay.
It's a magical university. You are one of the headmasters or professors or deans at this school, and you're trying to become the chancellor through this vote. And in order to do that, you send your students, your unpaid interns and students out into the board to mess with each other and to run errands for you. At the same time, you have a bunch of spells that you can cast to destroy parts of the university and upset people.
Mm-hmm.
You can spy on the voter board to learn what the criteria for victory are. You can you can get supporters. You can get treasures. Like, you can really do a ton of stuff in this game. It's kind of sandboxy, but it's got a good structure and a good flow to it. So if you play traditional worker placement games, it's just a little bit meaner and just a little bit more open-ended than what you're used to.
Yeah. It's not as dry as well, because the theme, the thing with a kind of a Euro game is the theme can be sometimes a little bit kind of dry, and the artwork on this is the artwork and the theme seems a little bit more alive.
We try.
No,
yeah,
it's good.
We got a lot. It was a lot of fun to build the theme and to build the characters for this game. No Commento, the lead artist, did a great job. Jennifer did a really great job on the environments. And Trey, the designer, has been working on all kinds of different upgrades and accessories and balancing, and he's just great to work with. Like, all of the team that did this game is spectacular, and it's been one of our most fun projects to date. Certainly our most complex project to date in terms of all the components in the box. Like, this is a really big game.
Yeah, I mean, it's was it about $100? Is $100 pledge for the main game?
For the main game and expansion, it's only $60 for the main game. So if you just want to play Argent, $60, and free shipping in the EU for you.
Yeah, how did you manage that?
Mainly just through the like working with companies in Britain to do the shipping with us.
Yeah.
And since we set a certain amount of the pledge for shipping, so like when you pledge, actually only like $39 of that goes to the game. The rest is shipping.
Yeah.
So it's, so basically your shipping is included in the $60. And it's how we have calculated all that out.
That's really, really good, because there seems to be a kind of not a fashion, but it seems to be growing in popularity that the shipping seems to be something that's charged after the event, when the pledge manager comes out, and I think
with Argent we have an advantage because we know how much the game weighs.
Exactly.
And so yeah, but with and we also know what our stretch goals are, and that they don't add weight. But with a lot of these projects, like these big miniature games, they don't know how many miniatures they're going to be putting in the box at the end of the project, because the stretch goals might go crazy and the box ends up being, like 10 kilos instead of 4.
Yeah.
And that really affects your shipping. So,
yeah.
So they kind of have to, by nature of the way that Kickstarter works. But we have a very tight product. Like, this is exactly what it is, and we know that. So we know exactly how much this game weighs and how. And we can get quotes based on how much it weighs and how big it is, and we can be, 100% sure that it's not going to cost extra when the time comes, unless the rates go up. But I will tell you this: shipping that game is like twice the production price, and I think that's pretty true for most games. Like, if you get $100 game, it probably costs them, $20 to make and $40 to ship, because shipping is a much larger expense than the price of actually producing the box goods in China. Yeah,
and there's a lot of pressure to kind of give the impression that the shipping that you're shipping it for is as low as you possibly can, but it can lead with confusion with other people, telling the truth and say, look, it's $25 to ship this game, and I know the Kickstarter itself is like it's $30 for the base game.
So so if I took this game and I shipped it to you from America, it's like $60 for me to get it to you.
Yeah.
But if I ship it from within England, it's like $15, but it's still going to cost me $10,000 to get that pallet of games to England. So I got to make sure that there are, at least 200 people in that region that want it. And that's the main predictor of this is, you have to make assumptions about how many people in each zone want your game.
And have you had a reasonable amount of take up on the upgrade? Because it's you offer the upgrade within the campaign for people that have got the first edition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people who were in for the first edition of Argent are back for the second edition.
That's pretty good.
And want to get the new miniatures.
Yeah.
They want to get the upgrade cards and stuff, and everybody wants something different. Like a bunch of people are like, "Hey, can we get just the updated rulebook?" And a bunch of people are like, "Hey, can we get the new box?"
Yeah.
And a bunch of people are like, "Hey, can we get like metal coins for all this?" And or like, "I only need 5 upgraded bases and not all 40." Everybody wants something a little different, and you try to do what you can, but like when you mass produce things and you box them up in overseas, like we take all these pledges, all the combinations of things people want, and we send those to the factory, and they're boxed up in the factory. So when a box goes from China over to England, it already has your name on it from the factory in China. So there's a lot of logistical coordination that goes into this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the more different varieties of box that we ask in the pack, the likelihood of errors, compounds with itself. It's like compound interest, but with the probability of entropy in our production process.
Yeah, yeah. Are you tempted to then kind of offer those for sale off the site at a later basis then, for folk that say, I just want the base, or, has that crossed your mind? Yeah.
I was once upon a time.
Yeah.
And I got into a lot of trouble for it.
All right.
In the day.
Okay.
So like when we did the old BattleCon Devastation campaign,
yeah.
Those projects, we were like, oh, we'll just offer all this stuff extra. And so we ordered a bunch of overs from our factory and just kept them in our warehouse. And we let people order them. And it turns out that the people who mention that kind of thing on Kickstarter are the only people that actually want it. And so once you serve those 2 or 3 people who want some kind of special exception, there's not anybody else that knows or cares.
Yeah, so you end up with a pile of stock in the warehouse,
so we ended up with a lot of piles of stuff that just had to be thrown away when we moved out of that warehouse.
That's not.
It was kind of
good at all.
Yeah, I remember throwing boxes of spare cards into that dumpster and, kind of shedding a tear each box. It was kind of tragic, because I knew how much that stuff costed and I knew what I'd planned for it to be used for. And I knew, I had these big expectations for how we were going to, take care of all these cool custom orders. And, now we just ended up throwing away a lot of paper. There's a dead tree out there somewhere because we over anticipated the demand, and I was not proud of that.
But you can't know, can you? I mean, it's the old thing about the kind of you'll get the silent majority, and then you get the very noisy minority. And if you feel that kind of pressure to go out and kind of serve them, then how are you meant to guess? Is it going to be 20 units? Is it going to be 500 units? I mean, you get...
I think that, as a creator, you just have to have confidence in the product you're offering.
Yeah.
And because, people make suggestions for the sake of making suggestions a lot of times. Like, they just want to be part of it. And the way to be part of it is to say, like, hey, can we do this? And, but, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with saying those things. But as a creator, you have to say... You have to really think about the real ramifications of each thing that you do, and you have to be willing to say like no, that's just not within what's reasonable for the project or what's reasonable for the budget.
No.
It doesn't make a reasonable product.
No, well, Aaron Westis had to do that quite recently. He's running Catacombs Conquest, and after running Catacombs and Castles, when he offered Catacombs 3rd Edition, he got a massive uptake on it, and now he's offering Catacombs Conquest, which is just like, it's another Kickstarter. It's a smaller version of Catacombs. It's a much more dense. It's meant to be easier to get on. He's still getting people not shouting in the comments, but politely asking, will they be able to order Catacombs 3rd Edition? And he's had to say, well, I'm gonna have to say no. We're gonna get stuff shipped out to retail when we can, but I can't there's no magic switch I can flick just to make, and it'll be the same, no magic switch for you 10 people to get a copy of this game, because logistically it's kind of impossible.
Yeah. Well, with all add-ons, like when you do these zones and you ship a giant pallet to Europe, and then someone's like, well, hey, I need to get like this playmat. Well, the playmat was printed 2 years ago, and it's sitting in a warehouse in America. Mm-hmm. So you're just gonna have to pay full shipping on it, separate from anything you're getting shipped from within Europe. But people don't know all this stuff, and it's not really their job to know all this stuff.
No.
But when a creator says like, oh, it's really not feasible for us to do that, give them the benefit of the doubt, please. That's all I'm saying here. But that's a lot of logistics.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too deep into the minutia of it, because it's the most tedious part of the job. It's also the place where you can shoot yourself in the foot and crash your entire business.
Yeah.
And that's almost happened to me before too.
Yeah, was that when you were
very careful?
Was that when your games got stuck at customs, I think, or in storage?
A lot of that, things got stuck at customs. And actually, the very first BattleCon project I did, we offered shipping that was we offered like $10 shipping to Europe, but we didn't have freight to Europe. We shipped it, like U.S. priority. So it actually every time somebody bought like a $25 copy of the game with $10 of shipping, we were paying $40 to send it to them.
Wow.
We lost like $15,000 on our first Kickstarter project, and it was
that's crazy.
It was a rough time there too. I'm pretty bad at learning my lessons. Really. It seems like there's always a new challenge.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever read my, where it says risks and challenges on Kickstarter, I don't know if anybody ever actually reads those, but mine are always like, hey, just so you know, there's something that's going to go wrong, and we have no idea what it is. These are the things that have gone wrong in the past, and we're going to account for those, but something new will happen. And the best we can promise is that you will get your games at some point in the future. We absolutely promise that. But, beyond everything else, stuff's going to happen, and we hope that you'll trust us to deal with it.
Who is it?
And we've dealt with it. We always deal with it, but things happen.
Who is it that the factory or the warehouse burnt down and they lost all their Kickstarter board games? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
It was on.
I don't remember that.
I was scouring through Reddit or Board Game or something because somebody said, "Oh, somebody's posted your interview that you've done with Jamie Stegmaier on Reddit," and I was like, "Really?" And I went and had a look, and it's like, "Oh, internet famous." And there was this thing that said
awesome.
these copies of these board games, all the Kickstarter pledges had just burned in this warehouse, and they weren't sure what was going on. I was like, "What an absolute nightmare." I mean, how do you build?
That's not. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
But that'll only set you back like 2 months.
I suppose.
The real problem is if you don't have insurance, and then you're in real trouble.
Yeah.
But our warehouses carry insurance. By the way, in case you're Kickstarter. By the way, risks and challenges. Yes, our warehouses all carry insurance.
You just go back and
our
edit.
boats. Yes.
Edit the Kickstarter now. Just go back.
Yeah.
Everything's.
I mean, the biggest risk with Kickstarter is mismanagement.
Yeah.
And I think that we have. I regret to say it, but we have overcome mismanagement as well in my hands. But we managed to make it through. I don't have a perfect record either, but we have always delivered our projects sooner or later.
Yeah.
So we're getting better and better.
Yeah.
Well, I think that my weakness is that I want to put the project up, and I underestimate how long it's going to take to do all the art. So like when we did Argent the first time around, I was like, "Oh, we got all this art, let's do it." And then we did it, and then through the game we did stretch goals, and the stretch goals added like 5 months of art time, and so the game came in like 4 or 5 months late, and everyone's like, "Where's my copy of Argent?" And I was like, "Oh, well, the artist had to we had a lot of time on the artist, and then the artist's grandmother got sick and had to go visit them across the country, and there were just all these things that happened, and you can't really account for that. The only accounting for it is to have the game finished first.
So what about
or to just make people understand that stretch goals add time to your projected delivery date?
I'm involved in a campaign that was meant to be delivered 2 years ago now, and the reason it hasn't been delivered was because the person said that if you pledge something silly like about £5 or $5 above the normal base game, you'll get your image in the game. And I don't think they realised that everybody just went, well, it's an extra £5, that's nothing. So they ended up, and then it's just the same thing. The artist kind of couldn't keep up, and now exactly. Empyreal, please tell me about Empyreal Steam. I want to know.
Yeah, so Empyreal is going to be our first train game from Level 99. This is designed by Trey Chambers, the same designer as Argent. It is illustrated by Nocomento, the same illustrator as Argent. So we're kind of reuniting that dream team, and bringing this game out. Empyreal takes place in the same world as Argent, a little bit in the future, in the kind of dawn of the industrial age. And so you are trying to connect two sides of the continent with train stations coming from Argent all the way over to Empyreal City, the capital of the western side of the world. So you're building this transcontinental railroad. You are branching out to acquire all these resources. The neat thing about Empyreal is that it is train building with spells. So as you build your company, you acquire resources, and these resources come with spells, which are kind of like your technology developments. And so they let you build over new terrain types. They let you transfer goods more easily. They let you set down like corruption and blockages and like wastelands to trip up your opponents, you can you are kind of building this sort of I guess I'd say it's kind of like a Manhattan Project sort of engine where you have your mana deploys onto your spells to activate those different actions, and then it gets recalled back onto your board to reset your engine again when it's time to pull everything back. Mm-hmm. And so there's sort of this ebb and flow to it. You're trying to branch out to reach as many of these high dollar resources as you can, and then connect those to cities that want to acquire them. And once you manage to deliver the resource to the city, you get also technology upgrades that will improve your efficiency at rail building, improve your output of your engine, and also give you more victory points at the end of the game. So but there's a lot of choices to make. Do you want to? The resources have different rarity values and dollar values. So, I can connect this blue resource to this city, but this is a cheap version. This is like a low quality version of the resource. And if I go a few more tiles, there's a high quality version that'll give me more VPs. And this city has, a kind of minor demand for it, but this city over here, a few tiles away, has a major demand for it. Do I want to race for the big city, or do I take the small city, because doing the delivery quickly and earlier will give me more technology, which means I can reach the more expensive resource and the more expensive city later, but then somebody else might take the demand before I get there. The kind of traditional train game problems, cast in this sort of spell engine template. So
it's risk reward then. There's a lot of risk reward to it. It's about stretching, potentially overstretching your means.
Everything in this game is a race in one way or another. Whether you're racing for the resources, or for the demand, or for the technologies, or for the end of the game, or for the spells, like everything, you're going to have to make a decision. Like, what can I afford? What can I get right now? What's worth getting right now? And what do I need to take before somebody else takes it first?
So is it miniatures? Is it cards? Is it, a bit of deck building in there? How's it kind of?
It's tableau building. Mm-hmm. So there are cards, but not like a giant amount of cards. Mm-hmm. And there are going to be little miniature trains. And the miniature trains are super cool. We're very excited about these because they're not just going to be like standard trains. This is a magic world, and so we've got magical trains. Like there's a demon faction, and they have these transparent ghost trains. There is a dryad faction, and they have their trains are actually caterpillars with gondolas on the back. These giant caterpillars that wander around, and all sorts of stuff like that. So we're really excited about the different train models that we're going to get to do.
Sorry, I just remember you talking on one of the recent podcasts about how do you get ghost trains. Are they kind of trains that are built by ghosts, or are they trains that have died and are now ghosts, kind of thing? I just remember that.
Yeah. Who knows?
Did you ever actually sort
that out? Fill out the lore, yeah.
You need to work that out if you're going to do like a lore podcast. If you're going to do like your character of the week, you could better get this sorted out.
I got to explain. I'll have to explain my ghost trains.
Or you can just say, well, it is because it is, okay? I don't know. They just turned up one day, and we didn't want to tell them to go because the last thing you want to tell it to go is a ghost train, because it's a train and it's also a ghost kind of thing. Yep. Have you got time to actually play any games yourself? Then is there anything that you've been kind of getting to the table kind of recently?
Yeah. I recently, I play video games every week for our podcast.
Yeah.
So recently I got to play Pyre. That was a lot of fun.
Yep. That's on this episode, isn't it? Yeah.
That was last week's episode. And most recently, I played Go Nuts for Donuts, the new Game Right game. I actually really enjoyed this one. Like, I like Sushi Go.
Yeah.
I think this was a little more interesting than Sushi Go.
Okay.
Especially if you speed play it. So like they tell you, like, wait till everybody's got their card down on the table. But we play it speed style, where as soon as the first player places their card, they count to 3, and if you don't have a card down, you don't have a card down by then.
Right, okay.
And that makes it quite a lot of fun. So I enjoyed that one. We played Cthulhu Wars recently.
What do you think of that then?
I enjoy it. I think it's a good game. I still have not been able to make the like the Opener of Ways work for me, the Yogg-Sothoth faction.
Uh-huh.
I've played them twice now, and I've ruined it both times. Like the the Black Goat faction absolutely ran away with it, and then the Ithaqua faction completely dominated me in the previous game. So I still haven't figured out how to make them work. But I've enjoyed the gameplay quite a lot. I think the gameplay is quite good. And it's a nice twist on the risk mechanics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's cool. I don't know if I recommend you buy it, but I recommend you find a friend who has it and play it.
Yeah,
for sure.
There's games.
It's quite expensive.
No, there is games like that. I mean, Clank for me. Clank. If anybody bought Clank to the club, I'd be one of the ones that'd be straight on it. But I'm not sure if I would buy it, and I don't know why. I do enjoy playing it, but I've still it's not tipped me completely over the line in terms of how much fun I'm having fun with it. But I'm not kind of saying I need to have this game in my life, kind of all the time.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Clank, but I haven't gotten to play it multiple times yet. I need to play a few more and form a real opinion about it. But I enjoyed the time I played it.
Yeah,
it's quite fun.
Yeah, it's good. The trouble is that over here, again, it's like getting hen's teeth. It's really difficult to get hold of. So when you're looking at a game that you would normally expect to pay maybe $45, $50 for, and it's up at $60, $70 instead, then you're kind of like, okay, I'm not sure. It's like terraforming Mars at the moment, which everybody seems to say terraforming Mars is the best game I've ever played, and then I get other people.
It's good. It's good. I wouldn't say the best game I've ever played, but it's fun.
Yeah, I've had people that said, yeah, it's okay, but then the components kind of let it down. They kind of felt that.
I mean, it's definitely. I would say it's the components are dry. The game is not dry, but the components are very dry.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, water, it's a cube. Oh, like biomass, it's also a cube.
Yeah.
Well, what about power, electricity? Yeah, that's a cube.
Well, maybe that's how you move stuff about in the space age. Who are we?
Yeah.
Who are we to judge?
Cubular.
I mean, it is all cubes. It makes it easier to stack in the cupboards. You can always give it to your kids to play with if they're bored when they're young and they're toddlers. I mean,
like son, take this heat radiation energy.
Exactly.
8 of these will raise the entire planet by 1 degree. But
exactly.
Just have fun with that.
Exactly. Where did you leave Jake? He's playing with the uranium. He's fine. He's chewing on it. It's all right. He's going to lose those teeth anyway.
It's in the cube. Don't worry. Can't hurt him.
Is there anything you're kind of looking forward to yourself, and that are going to be coming out soon? Or are you just focusing on getting everything together yourself?
I'm always the most excited about my own games coming out. Not necessarily because I have any particular what's the word. Mainly, I just want to play them. Like, I really want to play Exceed Season 2. I really want to play Trials. And I really want to play Seventh Cross. So I'm excited about those coming out. So yeah, I tend to get excited about our own releases more than I do about the rest of the world.
Yeah.
What they're coming out with.
I must admit, I think Seventh Cross is kind of like, that one. I mean, there's several others. I've mentioned them all before. The big C word from Jamie Stegmaier that's coming out. That's one. Wasteland Express Delivery Service is another one. I've been listening to a lot of what you've been saying about Empyreal Steam, and also, as I said, Seventh Cross. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on kind of that. Have you? I mean, are you looking at other kind of genres within the kind of the board game space? I mean, traditionally there's been a lot of kind of like, there's the card games, there's the big box games. With you doing Seventh Cross, is this you kind of going into more minis? Are you just exploring what else is out there kind of now? I would say
Seventh Cross is a game with minis. It's primarily entering the cooperative space.
Yeah,
I think. And the adventure game space. Like, it's a real heavy thematic. I think in the coming years, we're going to try and explore more new genres that we're not part of. Like Empyreal, we're trying to break into train games with that. I think we'll look for other opportunities to do sorts of games like that. We've got one coming out called I Can't Even, which is sort of like, it's kind of like that Go Nuts for Donuts, where it's like a straightforward game right level of game.
Yeah.
But it's got a little bit more for gamers who who want to have some strategic decisions to make and such.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we are, we're kind of trying to just expand into places we haven't been yet. We want to try new genres, and we want to build out and see what our style of gaming can bring to these other genres. So yeah,
I'd love to see a Mars type thing from you guys. I think that would be cool. Just some kind of resource management. I know you've obviously you've got Argent, but something quite a dry. I'd love to see somebody take like a really, really dry type Euro and throw the kind of the art and the style that you guys would throw at it, just to see what it would be like. Why are you making that noise? Are you? Oh, okay. Don't do that, because I'll give
it some thought.
Yeah, you've got something in the background. I'm imagining you at the moment. You've got your pipe in your hand, and you've got in your mouth. You're like, let's see.
Yeah, just going through the shelf, like looking at ideas.
Don't. No. Do you know what happened? Like the episode I just released, I had Henry Jasper from Grublin Games who said, "Yeah, we've got 3 games coming out next year," and then he says, "I'm not going to tell you what they are." And I was just like, "What?"
I was like, good publicity right there.
No, it's all it is I've just said, right, Henry, you got to come back on then. You got to come back on, Henry, and kind of.
Maybe I should keep some secrets too.
I think whisper all the secrets to me. Just you and me just now. Just whisper a couple. I'll edit them out.
I'll tell you. Call me back once Pixel Tactics is out. I'll tell you about our Metroidvania plans.
Oh, really?
For our next video game.
Oh, we're just going to do a video game. I think we should just we're going to do a video game app special, I think. Because, no, we had Tim Fowers on, and he was doing, Burgle Brothers, the app for that, which, and also, there was Paperback as well, which is, and those are just
a lot of fun.
Paperback is such fun, and Burgle Brothers is just outstanding. Crime thing. Everybody's doing crime. Are you doing a heist game? Don't.
I shouldn't say it this time.
You might be able to say it, but I couldn't possibly comment. If people have listened and they're wondering where they can find you on the internet webs places, where can they find you online, Mr. Talton?
So the best place to find us is level99games.com.
Mm-hmm.
We also have an official Discord server, which if you go to that page and you check out either BattleCon or Exceed or Pixel Tactics, there's a button that's like join the online community. You click that and it'll take you to our Discord server, and then you can hang out with all of us live and chat and ask questions and everything.
All right, okay. Cool. And you're in the normal places like your Twitter and Facebook, and people can find you on there, and I'll just make sure that all the links from that are on the show notes, so we have some notes to show.
Yeah. And a final plug for our podcast. We do the Level Cap podcast every Wednesday. You just visit our blog and check it out. Same website. You can listen to me and Marco insult each other back and forth.
It's
for
not
30
that
minutes
insulting.
every day.
It's not that
or every
bad.
every week.
It's good fun though.
Good fun.
You'll take a character from one of the characters from one of the games in the universe, and you'll have a chat about it, and you talk a game of the week from the game club. You do a whole pile of other things, and it's all good fun, and doesn't overstay its welcome as well. It's all high energy and just a good laugh. It's very, very good stuff.
We try to keep it entertaining for you guys.
Yeah, and it's very, very good. If you want to keep an eye on us, you can search We're Not Wizards. You will find us everywhere, from Instagram to Facebook to Twitter, to go onto our website, and you'll find us on we'renotwizards.com. We are also on YouTube if you search for We're Not Wizards Tabletop Podcast, and all our podcasts seem to get automatically uploaded to YouTube now because of the wonders of our Podbean hosting service. We're also on Instagram. We're on Spreaker and Stitcher and all the other beautiful places. if you like what you've heard today, then please jump onto iTunes and throw us a subscription. If you go and listen to 99 Game the Level Cap podcast as well, and you like what you hear, go and drop them a subscription as well on iTunes. Yeah, and if you like what you hear, drop us a review as well. And as we say, if you feel we're doing well, don't give us a 10 because that'll make us too big-headed, and don't give us a 1 because that'll make us cry. But give us a 5.
You asked for a 5.
That's average. That's average.
I've not heard that before.
Brad, that's average.
We strive for mediocrity.
We are very, very average. It's a 5 on iTunes, so you might as well meet everybody halfway. But obviously, if you listen to Brad's podcast, then make sure you give him a 5 as well, because we're all friends together. Give him a 4.
All right.
No, that's fine. Give him a 5. No. Listen, this has been a lot of fun as always. It's always good to have you on, because it's your energy and your enthusiasm and your passion is always fantastic. So,
well, I hope we can catch up again sometime.
Well, we're gonna have to talk what
play
happens.
Play a game of Pixel Tactics online.
Yes, absolutely. We shall definitely do that, and we'll need to catch up when there's more stuff that comes out about Seventh Cross and Empyreal Steam, and we'll have a bigger chat. And what else is coming out with your crime thingy, drama, terraforming, Mars type card battle game? Whenever that comes out,
we'll have some fun stuff to tell you about next year.
Yeah, okay, that's good. No, but in all seriousness, listen, thank you for coming on, Brad. As I say, it's always a pleasure to have you on. And there's only 2 more things to do, and the first thing is to remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards.
Not wizards.
We're definitely not wizards.
Those guys at Argent, they're the wizards. We're
not
wizards.
Yeah. They can stay in their little building where they're little chasing the Chancellor and getting spells and stuff. We'll be out on trains, or we'll be out fighting vampires. That's what we'll be doing. And the second thing to do is to say goodbye. So it is a goodbye from the wonderful, the fantastic, I'm just ridiculously talented.
Now you're sounding like Marco.
Oh yeah, okay.
just Brad. Goodbye from Just Brad.
Say goodbye from Just Brad. Say goodbye, Just Brad.
Goodbye. Goodbye and happy gaming, as always.
As always. And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll 6s. Check out Argent, because there will be links in the show notes, and have a look at the campaign. It's very, very interesting indeed. But until the next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.